Go on.
Hello and welcome to Round 10 coverage of Grand Prix Seattle. The format is Legacy. In the booth with me are Rich Hagon and Adam Prozac.
Hello.
And we're watching Shawn Tabrizi playing the four-color Delver deck that's sometimes been a four-color Leovold deck, that's sometimes a four-color Delverless deck, playing against Justin Quo playing Goblins. And the Goblins deck really bears a striking similarity, if not mana curve, to the Soldier Stompy deck.
Absolutely. So Goblins is the more classic of the two. See more thing, Goblin Lackey, Goblin Matron, Goblin Ringleader, all the way up to the Kiki Jiki, Siege Gang Commander. One cool thing about Justin's list, 4 Warren Instigator.
Ooh.
So it's double strike Lackey, but it's Natural Predator, the Deathrite Shaman. That 1/2 is a big challenge for the Goblin deck.
The greatest one-mana Planeswalker ever printed,
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman.
So, Shawn...
wow, days on Aether Vial here
Underground Sea
from Shawn Tabrizi. Wow.
And then Daze the Aether Vial. So.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
I think that's the first days we've had on camera this weekend.
Yeah, and here you might think Deathrite Shaman was attacking, but no, it was tapping to cast Brainstorm here for Shawn Tabrizi. Yeah, I actually don't feel like we've seen a Daze on camera yet. So let's talk a little bit while Shawn ponders his hand here. What
Brainstorms his hand.
Yeah, sorry. What this Goblin deck can do. This is a deck that goes back, I remember, to like Worlds 2003 in Berlin when the Japanese players showed up playing what they called the Gob Vantage. Mm-hmm. And there was an even more broken card in the deck back then. This was an extended, but the broken card was Goblin Recruiter.
Wow. We won't see that one. That is banned in Legacy. But, I mean, Goblins has a huge history in the Legacy. It won the first Legacy Grand Prix, which was a...
Owen Turnwald made the finals of Grand Prix Columbus playing a deck similar to this?
I was 9th in that tournament.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What were you playing?
Not Flash.
All right,
so Delver's Secrets flips immediately. Not surprising because Shawn was able to brainstorm a favorable card to the top of his deck, which is, another Brainstorm.
So it turns into the Insectile Aberration. Now, let me ask you, the Goblin deck, what does it have in the way of creature removal if it gets into a race with something like a Insectile Aberration?
So it actually has a decent number of removal options. So their main deck, Pyrokinesis, which is the red Force of Will.
Ooh.
So,
we could actually see a showdown because obviously Shawn Tabrizi's playing the blue Force of Will.
Right, which is Force of Will. So in addition to that, there are 3 Tarfires. Shock is apparently cool if it's a Goblin.
And there's also Gem Palm Incinerator.
Yep, and that's a final. And then there's some other, there's like a Sting Scourger, but not great. Here that'll bounce the Insectile Aberration.
So there you get a look at the Warren Instigator that can't really get through a Deathrite Shaman. It can sort of trade with one.
It can trade with one.
But that's not really the business it wants to be in.
No.
Look at this hand.
We got to place that.
3 more Warren Instigators, a Goblin Ringleader, and then what's that?
It's a Goblin Settler.
Goblin Settler. Oh my gosh.
Goblin Settler is, in our theme of cards from obscure sets that don't see Legacy play very often.
4 mana 1/1 in Legacy. I love it. Man, if you ever get that into play off of a Lackey, that's got to feel so sick.
So that's Starter 1999, uncommon, or Vintage Masters.
My work on Vintage Masters is the only reason I know what this card does.
my work in Vintage Masters draft queues is the only reason I know what this card does. And I definitely played it.
Oh yeah, it's a fine card. Nothing wrong with it. Goblins has a unique suite of tools to fight some of Legacy's more popular decks. You have Goblin Matron to find them. So there's only one copy, but if Dark Depths is about to become Merit Lage, you can take it out.
Here we see that the Deathrite Shaman's just been doing work here for Shawn Tabrizi. You can see all those spells in his yard. He's just been able to double spell basically every turn thanks to that extra mana.
And thanks to the fact that his cards don't cost very much mana. Yeah, almost double 2 spells on every single turn of the game. Like Deathrite Daze on turn 1, Brainstorm Delver on turn 2, now another Delver. Oh, wow. Okay, so never mind. I thought the one Integrated did not trade when it was actually able to double strike through. It was just a trade. Justin adds a Rishadan port to his side of the board, so it's a really nice card against these, typically land light Delver decks. But I think Justin's way more interested in casting his own spells right now.
So now, Shawn, how scary is that Warren Instigator for him?
Pretty scary. Delver is a deck based on getting mana advantages, small little incremental advantages there. Has really high card quality and utility. But if your opponent just gets to play 2 4-drops for free, doesn't really have the tools to go pound for pound with that. Its strategy against big mana decks is just to be more efficient. So one Instigator hit will undo all of that. So that's got to be Shawn's primary concern right now. Don't let any of the 4 Warren Instigators that Justin has drawn hit you.
Right, and it's gonna be, and you think we'll just see Justin continue to just trade these in? Like, okay, I'll just go 1 for 1 with my Instigator for whatever creature you want to put in the way
I think that's
of
his only play, because that's basically all he has going for him is trying to threaten these Instigators and has to get through one. All
right, here's another Delver of Secrets. Wasteland's going to take out the Cavernous Souls.
So now he
Insectile Aberration flies in.
Yep. So Cavernous Souls actually hurting. I think Shawn still has Force of Wills. He did earlier. He may have brainstormed some away. But given the fact that he Wasteland a Cavernous Souls, I think it's very likely that he kept some Force of Wills.
Right, kind of a dead card while that Cavernous Souls was around.
The other thing, it's just Justin's second red source. So if he can't...
So in comes the Instigator. Trades with a Deathrite Shaman, which by itself is pretty exciting in this Legacy format. And the second Instigator comes down, or the third at this point.
That's the third one of the game.
There's still another one in hand. We expect that this Delver of Secrets is going to flip immediately because it was played post-Brainstorm.
There's Force of Will. Or some of us like to call it the blue pyrokinesis.
Who let him in?
You did.
Yeah, that's true. It's okay. There we are, chat. It's my fault. I've been outed. So,
just if you're wondering where these guys are from, Justin Quo is a San Jose player who only plays Legacy.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to assume Goblins is his jam in this format. This is his first ever day 2. He's pretty excited.
That's great, John.
Shawn is a local player from here in Seattle.
Yeah, I play at the local shop. I actually know Shawn from our local shop. Plays all sorts of formats. He's a very strong player.
He plays a lot of GPs, but his best previous finish was 12-3.
So one win off top 8. So he needs just one more to be in the mix.
But he's played enough GPs that he doesn't remember where that was.
He's just playing it cool. I went 12-3, but I don't remember where that was.
All right, so yeah, Shawn doesn't look like he has that much going on. He's leaving a Delver back to block this Warren Instigator. That might end up being a losing proposition for him because Justin just has the 4th.
But he does know that.
Shawn knows about it, so he might end up.
We might see a 1-1 get Force of Willed here.
Well, what else are you going to 1-1? Or what else?
How about a Pyrokinesis here from Justin Quo?
All right, so the blue Force of Will.
So he's going to pitch the Goblin Settlers from his hand to do 4 damage. That's going to earn a Force of Will from Shawn Tabrizi. There you get a look at Pyrokinesis. also from Alliances. Other cards in the set in that cycle were Bounty of the Hunt.
Contagion is actually a nice card.
Yeah, Contagions for Was there a white one?
Scars of the Veteran.
Scars of the Veteran, very good.
Well, you're testing me, wow.
All right, in comes the Instigator. Not a lot of cards left in Justin's hand.
Or Shawn's hand. I think Shawn might be empty-handed. One card, maybe? Yeah, there's one card, but I think it's a land.
Scars of the Veteran, not something that's seen a lot of play.
No, not
right. It's had 10 seconds on the screen. That's the end of its coverage life.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever. Well, it might be brought up at the next Legacy Grand Prix.
Yeah. All right, Instigator number 4 comes down, and the Instigators have done really an impressive job. They've eaten 2 Deathrite Shamans and an Insectile Aberration.
Right.
I mean, you're pretty happy. Like, you would use spot removal on those cards, right?
Yeah, I mean, you tried to.
Yeah.
But yeah, one Instigator, like one of the advantages of the Delver is he is trading up in mana. He's trading his 1 mana cards for Justin's 2 mana cards, which is generally a win, but Shawn doesn't have much to do with it. Doesn't have much to show for it. He has it just kind of run out of cards.
All right.
At this point. So now he's just like, okay, it's race time. Do your worst.
Now, what can Justin muster here off of a hit from the Instigator?
Right. So, Instigator, not very many cards, kind of got to the game where, out of sweet goblins to put on the battlefield for free. So he has to draw some more.
He would love to see a Goblin Ringleader here.
Yeah, I would love to see almost any goblin.
Well, there's a Goblin Ringleader.
You called it.
It's a free Goblin Ringleader into a Matron. Gem Palm Incinerator.
Wow.
Another Goblin Matron. He gets to just put those cards in his hand here.
Well, he gets to put one into play.
And he's going to get to put one into play, right? Because, again, double strike.
Double strike, you resolve first strike.
Wow.
Do your thing. Put the Ringleader. And then you have more options for regular strike.
Can we just call this free spell red? I mean, wow, look at this.
You have to pay a decent amount of mana.
So now he's going to put a Matron into play. And what are you going to go get here?
Wow, the world is your oyster, Justin. How about
he's going to go get a Tarfire, and he's going to kill that Insectile Aberration. Who's playing card advantage now, Blue Deck?
Oh, so one of the reasons to play Goblins is that they are a really big card advantage deck.
Well, the original name for this deck was Gob Vantage.
Yeah.
There's a Bloodstained Mind. And now he also gets to actually use his Rishon Imports, possibly the first time we've seen them used in this GP, to tap down his opponent's mana. And that's going to be the game.
Shawn has seen enough.
Wow. The 4th Warren Instigator finally got through.
Yep. There was a lot of instigation, and eventually there was enough instigation to take care of business. So Justin Quo, you're watching Good Morning Magic. For those of you just joining us, where have you been? You've missed an absolutely stunning first round in which we saw Soldier Stompy in the hands of Chantel Campbell do unspeakable things featuring no lands at all via Armageddon. So you can certainly go back and watch that. That was round number 9. We're in round 10. These two are at 8 and 1. Coming up later in the round, Tommy Ashton, who I know is someone you know, Adam. Tommy Ashton is going to be in action. He's at 7 and 2, so still in contention for the top 8. But his deck, which we're going to watch on Time Warp, is let me see if I've got this right, a Ravager Prison deck? Does
that is
sound
accurate.
Okay, so what's that? Just mark our card a little bit before we eventually see that.
Little preview thing. Cast Arcbound Ravager and then Lodestone Golem.
Okay.
Or Thorn of Amethyst.
Right.
And so it looks a lot like vintage decks.
Right.
You take the Mercer's Workshop out, you place it with some Ancient Tombs and some City of Traders.
Okay.
Pretty accurate a description of what we got going on.
All right.
Tommy Ashton hold a distinction of like the most PTQ wins ever.
On Magic Online.
Yeah. He's like
Tommy Ashton is one of the world's greatest Magic Online players.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about these two players here and what they're going to do after sideboard.
Yes.
What does in these red-blue matchups going back to the earliest days of Magic, the red deck has got a suite of Pyroblasts and the like to bring in, but it doesn't look
Not
like
here.
that's going on here? What do we see?
I would expect Justin to bring in his Chalice of the Voids. Shawn's deck costs 1 or 0, so taking off the 1 mana part is really, really powerful. And other than that, he's mostly pre-boarded. He doesn't have a lot to take out. Maybe the Goblin Settler, maybe the Stink Scourger, maybe the Tuk Tuk Scrapper. Bring out some of his singletons that are meant for other decks.
Sure.
And bring in Chalice of the Void.
Interesting thing in Justin's sideboard, a number of white cards.
Yeah, so splashing white for some of, white has typically a bunch of strong sideboard cards. So he's got, Rest in Peace and Thalia, the two highlights. But I don't think we'll be seeing them.
Now, what about Shawn?
We could see Thalia.
Yeah, what do we see from Shawn here that might help him in this matchup?
He has a Dark Blast.
Ooh.
So you'll never run out of ways to kill Warren Instigator, which is a pretty big problem. There's only 1 copy. Other than that, there's not a ton. You might bring some Diabolic Edicts, maybe a Pithing Needle to stop Ether Vial.
I do really like that Dark Blast here.
Oh, Dark Blast is incredible. But yeah, Shawn doesn't have a ton. But I also like, his main deck. Maybe take out some of the counter spells, Daze or Force of Will. But other than that, the rest of his deck, maybe Stifle is not. Although Stifle, you can stifle a Ringleader or Matron, so it actually looks pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Usually, it's like, how many fetch lands do you have? And that's how good Stifle is. Or Wastelands.
All right.
But usually you can stifle just regular things.
Well, we're gearing up for game number 2. Goblins got there via Warren Instigator, Warren Instigator, Warren Instigator, and Warren Instigator. Basically, that's what happened in game 1. Let's see what happens in game 2 in the company of the Pro Tour historian Brian David Marshall and from Inside R&D, Mr. Adam Prozac. Take it away,
All right, it's a repeat of game 1 here for Shawn Tabrizi as he leads off with Underground Sea into Delver of Secrets.
Deathrite Shaman.
I'm sorry, Deathrite Shaman, yeah. And then again, an Aether Vial from Justin Quo, which is going to get dazed. Exact same sequence of events.
Are we sure we're playing game 2?
Yeah, Rashad just doing a video replay.
We're just getting trolled over here. Nope, but I assure you this is game number 2.
And he's even got the Brainstorm, it looks like, in hand here.
Might not want to cast it. Wasteland is really, really appealing here. Delver of Secrets, I might consider Wasteland plus Delver of Secrets. That seemed like a strong play. But also, if you want to set up the Delver of Secrets to flip, Brainstorm makes sense. But looks like
there's Wasteland. Yep, uses the Deathrite Shaman to make a blue with the Goblins deck own land. Oh, no second land for Justin.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. This is going to be a steep road to climb for him.
So Delver likes to win, much like Rich would love us. Soccer teams like to win. They like to win 1-0 or something. Right now I'm trying to blow. I have 3 permanents. You have 0. But they're more about suppressing what the opponent is trying to do, as opposed to doing a lot of great stuff themselves.
Rashad and Port is the land draw for Justin, but that's not going to help him. And we're going to see if we can get a blind Delver flip here. Usually aided and abetted by Brainstorm, but sometimes you just have to do it the natural way.
Well, there's just a really high concentration of instants and sorceries.
Yeah, we see some of them in hand there. Lightning Bolt. Also a Gurmag Angler in hand for Shawn Tabrizi.
I think Shawn's being really... is that a Brainstorm?
No, I think it might actually be another Daze.
Oh, yes. It is another Daze. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks for showing that one to us.
He's got a Daze, Lightning Bolt, a Cabal Therapy.
Yeah, Cabal Therapy is one of my favorite Magic cards ever.
There's an awful lot of gameplay to it, isn't there?
There's a ton of play to it. Trying to what's the strongest card you can take out of their hand versus... I like to do it on easy mode. I just cast a Gitaxian Pro first. And it makes that card... makes Cabal Therapy a lot easier.
Looks like we're going to see a Chalice for 1.
Potentially. Maybe.
That is going to get dazed.
Nope, just a Goblin Lackey.
Okay. There is the Goblin Lackey. less scary than the Warren Instigator because it actually can't trade with the likes of Deathrite Shaman or Insectile Aberration.
So yeah, Shawn's in a little bit. Usually, one of the strengths of this Delver deck is that you get to just churn through your deck. You get to play a ton of cards every turn. Shawn has all these reactive cards. He has, he might consider playing the Cabal Therapy blind here.
Yeah, and he could probably even, if he misses but sees something that he really wants to hit, he's got redundant. Oh wow, and Delver of Secrets trades for the Goblin Lackey.
Shawn is actually really interested in trading cards because every card that goes to his graveyard is something for Gurmag Angler.
If you're sitting in Shawn's seat, what are you thinking about naming if you play Cabal Therapy here?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like cards that he could have but not play, like Goblin Matron, the infamous Warren Instigator.
I think we might see. Yeah, we are going to see Cabal Therapy.
Yeah, I wouldn't name something like Ether Vial.
Right, something that he could have cast.
Could have already cast.
So he looks, he sees a Tarfire, he sees a Ringleader.
Oh,
he named Chalice of the Void, and he hits two of them. And if you remember, Justin, on the last turn, both of us, we saw, he's going to cast Chalice here. We hadn't seen the Chalice in hand. We just saw him tap his mana a certain way, and that may have tipped off to Shawn Tabrizi that there was a Chalice in hand.
And knowing what I know about Shawn, that's exactly the type of thing Shawn would pick up on. Like,
that's pretty awesome. I understand that you're hypothesizing here, but if that is what turns out to be true, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I actually want to know if that's what happened. Yeah, that's a huge win for Shawn.
Well, I tell you what, if Shawn goes on to win this match, which obviously is still a long way away, we'll make sure that we have an interview with him and we'll ask him about that Chalice play. Yeah. Interesting.
That was an excellent name. And then also the rest of Justin's hand wasn't threatening enough to make Shawn want to flash back his Cabal Therapy. He'd much rather just have Deathrite Shamans on the battlefield.
And now Justin's on the port plan here to just keep Shawn's mana at bay.
Got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Got his chalices taken away.
And again, no shortage of mana for Shawn, though. He's got those two Deathrite Shamans. He's got two lands in his graveyard that he can turn into mana.
So if I'm Shawn here, I'm just looking for a fetch land. So a fetch land would allow Shawn to play Gurmag Angler. I also think he might keep these three cards.
Yeah, no lands in there.
Lightning Bolt, Delver of Secrets, and Dark Blast.
Yeah, there's the Dark Blast.
Adam, let me ask you, a lot of aggressive decks across multiple formats in Magic history are designed to deal just the 20 damage and don't like it when they're trying to deal 24 or 28. How big a deal for Goblins are double Deathrite Shaman and that bottom ability, you gain 2 life? Is it a marginal thing, or is it if Goblins wins, it's going to be able to do 30, 40, 50?
It's pretty marginal. Like, Goblins is capable of doing some games it can only deal the 20. But in most games, like Game 1, Justin could have dealt an unlimited amount of damage. Goblins is a deck that it's more of a kind of a card advantage deck than a pure aggro deck. It's not trying to spend all of its resources and get them to 0. It's more about building a huge board. Goblin Chieftain
comes down
entering the battlefield and
tapped and attacking.
Yep, it has haste, and it gives all your other goblins +1/+1 in haste.
So Shawn Tabrizi, by the way, despite being ported, having 1 land, not drawing any land, was able to do quite a bit that last turn. And now he reveals Dark Blast to flip over his Delver of Secrets and transform it into the Insectile Aberration. Of course, with the Chieftain, maybe that Dark Blast not looking quite as good. Although you can still do a trick during your draw step with Dark Blast to kill a 2/2 creature. Can you explain that, Adam?
Yeah, so if you cast Dark Blast during your upkeep, you get -1/-1. And then for your draw step, you just dredge the Dark Blast and then cast it again. And that adds up to -2/-2.
Yeah.
But I think Shawn will just go with the Lightning Bolt. That's way less fancy and way more effective.
Although, it is in Shawn's interests with a Gurmag Angler to get some cards into his graveyard.
Yeah. So here comes Krenko,
Oh
Mob
my
Boss.
gosh, Krenko Mob Boss.
So if I'm Shawn, I would not let
the Chieftain live?
the Chieftain live. So he's
Because right now the Krenko would have haste,
right,
which would let him tap it and make 2 more goblins.
Right. And once you let the Krenko make some tokens, then the next time you make a lot more tokens.
Yeah.
And it gets out of hand very quickly.
Krenko Mob Boss was this a commander card or was this?
This is an M13.
M13. There you go. It feels very commandery.
It does. It does. But no, this was just a regular.
It is a popular commander.
Yes. Yes, it makes lots of goblins.
All right, so Krenko lives to fight another day, but does not have haste, thanks to the Chieftain.
So Shawn actually is in a little bit of a bind. There are no more lands in graveyard, so Shawn does not have access to red mana.
And he's not going to draw land this turn.
Because he's going to draw the lightning bolt that he needs to take care of Krenko, so he has to do that. So Shawn, I think he's going to have to let Justin make some goblins with Krenko, which is crazy for a deck like Shawn's. Like, it's kind of built so that these like 4 mana threats that have to stick and play for a little bit don't get to do that.
Right. You want to be getting all the 2-for-1s.
Right. But that being said, Shawn still, he could play Gromag Angler this turn. He has he has a pretty nice threat base on the board. He has 3 very threatening creatures.
Yeah, I mean, he can close the game out, but there's not really a shortage of instants or sorceries for him to close the game out with Deathrite Shamans.
Right.
And he's going to use Cabal Therapy here.
He's going to sacrifice one of his Deathrite Shamans. So at this point, he wants to protect. Oh, this is really smart.
Yeah,
he's going to try and protect his win with the Insectile Aberration. Be like, okay, you make your 1/1 goblins. I will fly over with Insectile Aberration, and I will ping you with Deathrite Shaman. Please do not shock my creatures.
Interesting.
A little aggressive, yeah. Like Justin doesn't have access to red mana for non-creature goblin spells.
Right.
But still, if he were to draw a mountain, Tarfire would be a pretty big card.
All right, here comes
Sting Scourger.
Sting Scourger is going to bounce Gurmag Angler. Oh,
Wow.
my gosh.
You liked that one then?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
So Sting Scourger doesn't have a lot of great targets, but Gurmag Angler is amazing, especially when Shawn's been struggling so much to get cards in his graveyard. It's going to be years.
He might not make another Gurmag Angler from the next round.
Right, yeah.
Wow, and the Sting
And
Scourger.
then Richard Import.
Wow, look at this. Now he's still going to deal with that Insectile Aberration. And Dark Blast is going to take out one of those 2 goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to do this during is he doing the draw step trick here?
No, so I think he's just going to take out a goblin token.
Yeah.
And dredge it, because dredging over a land is as good as drawing a land. Bam. So
Right, because of Deathrite Shaman.
Deathrite Shaman now can make red mana.
And he can kill the Krenko.
Now he can kill the Krenko, and now Shawn has all the time in the world.
Oh, wow. And this game has just swung back. I think we're going to see a game 3 here.
Me too. There's a point where I thought Justin had enough of a hold, but like I think he just has Kiki Jiki in his hand.
And again, there's Echo to be paid on the Sting Scourger if you
There's
want
what?
that to stick around.
Echo?
Thank you, boys. Made me very happy.
No,
yeah.
Echo.
Yeah, it did not pay the Echo. Fetch lands are a little scary here for Justin, who gives his opponent mana every time he activates one.
And cuts a turn off the Delver Clock.
Yeah.
Going to 6, but he's got to do something. He's certainly not going to get a foothold in this game just by casting nothing, essentially. So here comes Goblin Ringleader.
Okay.
Hopefully looking for a Tarfire.
All right.
Which
Mountain.
that isn't.
that is sudden demise.
There's a gem palm.
He does get a gem palm incinerator. That gives him something to do.
Yeah, if he can keep both of his goblins in play, gem palm incinerator can deal enough damage. But it's also unlikely Shawn still has the Dark Blast in hand. Because when you dredge it, it goes to your hand.
In come the goblins.
Yeah, Justin Steiner is, sudden demise, which is kind of like a one-sided sweeper in this effect. There's only one copy, I believe. Yeah, one copy. But it can be really nice against a board full of insectile aberrations. So Shawn gets in with, last round we saw soldiers in their first strike. Well, this round we see goblins in their haste.
Where's the split second on this card? Doesn't the word sudden imply split second?
It's not from Time Spiral.
It doesn't say extremely sudden demise. It's just sudden.
All right, there's Dark Blast on the ringleader. And now dredge it back.
Oh, wow, surgical extraction.
Yeah, it's a surgical extraction.
And I guess he cast it again.
Yeah, and then maybe he's going to play a Gerbag Angler at the end of all this. Oh.
Yeah, we thought we would have.
Yeah, I did not think we would see. I did not think we would see Angler come down anywhere close to this game.
Mm-hmm. We were wrong.
All right, and
take your fetch land and my other 6 cards.
Okay. Our opportunity to ask about the Chalice of the Void is live once again.
All right. Giant stack of cards. That is Shawn's removed from game pile. His exile zone. There's a wasteland.
So doesn't have, I believe. Oh yeah, it's a matron. Okay.
What is?
Oh, he's actually in pretty good shape. Oh, Settler. Okay, so that gets a land.
Now, Gem Palm Incinerator is going to take out the Insectile Aberration.
Right, with 2 goblins. And so Justin now has 2 chump blockers.
He's going to. He still needs to deal with that Gerbag Angler and that Deathrite Shaman that can just end this game in 1 turn cycle.
Yep. The thing is, so Shawn won't be able to cast Dark Blast, and activate Deathrite Shaman. So I think the play for Shawn is just to dredge the Dark Blast.
1, 2, 3. Gitaxian Probe and a couple of lands.
Yeah, and that land obviously is critical for him mana-wise.
Right, so just attack, force a trump block, and just play into Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, I think that's just what he's going to do here.
And I think Justin has does he still have the Goblin Matron? Okay, I don't remember. I know he has Kiki Jiki.
All right, there's a Bloodstained
don't sacrifice that one.
Don't do that.
Oh, so yeah, it doesn't. Looks like. Oh, okay. I guess this works. Copy Goblin Settler. Blow up your land. Deathrite Shaman's life loss activation costs a black mana, which Shawn would not have.
So he won't be able to do it a second time.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's Kiki Jiki.
Oh.
Oh, but the Settler's going to...
Nope. Shawn's still at 3. Or Justin is still at 3.
Right.
So, Wasteland. Your land.
Wow.
And now I'm going to chump block with my Kiki Jiki.
This has been crazy.
I don't think this is going to go super well.
But it's still going.
Yeah, we're still playing.
What card could Justin draw?
So
Ringleader into
Ringleader
copy
and stuff like Goblin Matron would buy him a turn and kill, so he could shoot up Tarfire and kill the Deathrite Shaman.
All right, there's a Delver of Secrets off the Deathrite Shaman. And that's going to be the game.
All right. Well, we got 30 extra seconds of entertainment there. It is 1-1 15 minutes left in the round in this one. Our main match of round number 10 here on Good Morning Magic with Rich Hagan, Brian David Marshall, and Adam Prozac. And tell you that should we get the chance, and I think we will after game number 3 of this, we're going to take you across to Tommy Ashton, who is playing a Ravager Prison deck. Told you a little bit about that.
Ravager Prison doesn't sound like a deck that fits neatly into a less than 15-minute chunk of time. But
guess what? We've got this really cool button that's called the Go Faster button, and we may watch it at more than regular speed.
Nice.
Who knew?
Hopefully Tommy gets time off for good behavior, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly so. I can tell you just a couple of results around the room. Coming into this round, Noah Walker was one of the 8-0s that advanced to 9-0. The two headline acts of the 11 players who began the day at 8-0 were probably Seth Manfield, the world number 1, and former world champion Brian Brown doing teammates, of course.
Both former world champions.
Yeah, exactly so. But they both lost in round 1. They fell to 8-1. They're a little bit behind us. One of those is still playing. Luis Scott Vargas, who was 7-1 with his lands deck overnight, got up to 8-1. And Sam Black, who began at 7-1 overnight, he also won his first match to advance to 8-1. Lost, though, for Josh Utter-Layton. He remained on his score, fell to 7-2 last round, still playing right now.
What was Sam playing?
I do not know. I can find out, though.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
I'm just curious. Like all the, it seems like all
bombardment, Bloodghast.
It seems like all of the pros who showed up are playing some variant of the Czech pile deck. You know, obviously some exceptions there. Luis being one of the notable exceptions, yeah. But it seemed like, certainly Seth and
Brian,
BBD and those guys, it seemed like a lot of players, went for that deck, again, liking the 2-for-1s.
Oh, yeah. 2-for-1s are great.
Just grinding their opponents down.
And if you could choose from almost all of the 2-for-1s in Magic.
Right. It's a museum installation of the greatest 2-for-1s.
Yeah.
And 1-for-2s sometimes.
Right.
Force of will, pyrokinesis.
You gotta stop your opponent from just killing you on the first turn.
Yeah.
So sometimes you make some sacrifices.
Yeah. It was very interesting to me that in the mirrors between those 4-color, mid-rangey, whatever you want to call those decks, that the Force of Wills were often sided out.
Yes.
Because you even though you get to counter something, you just can't afford to give up the cards.
Right.
I can tell you that Sam Black was on lands this weekend.
Very nice.
Legacy Lantern Control.
Oh, don't say that. You'll put people off for life.
I mean, if he was playing some 2-1 flyers, it could be land turn control.
B+.
All right, Goblin Lackey earns a lightning bolt from Shawn Tabrizi to kick things off here in Game 3.
They're switching it up. We didn't have the whole Deathrite Shaman Dazier.
Wasteland takes out the Volcanic Island.
Comes. Looks like that works in Shawn's favor. He looks very land heavy.
Yeah. We're going to say that Wasteland plan doesn't look like it's going to be super good this game.
There's Ether Vial. It will resolve this game. And there you see. I like Justin Quo's method here, by the way, for the reminder. I'm going to put 2 dice on my deck, 1 to remind me, and then 1 to put on the Ether Vial.
I'm sure in future turns there'll just be 1 on top. I can dig that.
All right, here's a second Delver of Secrets as the first one chips in for 1.
So looks like Gurmag Angler and 3 lands for Shawn. Justin keeps his cards closer to the vest. So.
Yeah, and under the card viewer.
Yeah.
So Lantern, Cavern of Souls comes down. That's always going to name Goblins for him.
Yeah, Counterspell's not good against this Goblin deck. But between Cavern of Souls and Ether Vial, a lot of time your stuff's just entering the battlefield. Even Goblin Lackey you can't counter the stuff you put off of that. So I would imagine Shawn, we haven't seen a Force of Will from Shawn in the post-sideboard games. I'd imagine that they're both sided out.
We have Goblin Lackey 1 in chat. I imagine they're quite pleased with our deck choice this round.
Yeah, as I've been looking at chat, it seems like there's a lot of a big cheering section for the Goblins.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of rabble rousing.
But who's the ringleader?
Goblin. Well, no, that's a Lackey. I don't know.
All right, Tarfire takes down one of the Delvers, but they both transformed.
Yeah, so it looks like
All right.
Shawn is going to be able to get a pretty one-mana Gurmag Anglers likely on the table. I think if you Shawn
He's going to
casts
ponder here. Yeah, he's got a ponder in hand. So he's going to be able to ponder Gurmag Angler, and Justin is going to need his Sting Scourger to get out from under that.
5/5 is just like
way out of range.
Yeah, exceptionally large.
All right, there's the angler.
Oh, so he didn't. Also fine play. Shawn doesn't know what he wants yet, so he's just gonna hold the ponder.
All right, so 3 counters. Oh, no, sorry, 2 counters. There
1 counter per turn.
Yeah. Thought I missed
I'm sure
one.
Justin wants it to be on 3.
All right, so Justin goes for a mountain here with his Bloodstained Mire. And what are we going to see here? I'm sorry, I'm just rooting for a Sting Scourger off the Ether Vial.
You might see that.
I think he only has the 1, right?
Looks like a Goblin Matron.
Oh, okay. Cast. Oh, well, now he's going to go get the Sting
May I
Scourger.
get my Sting Scourger? Yes,
this
you may,
is great.
says Shawn.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he does. Aether Vial is going to put that Sting Scourger into play. It's going to bounce the Angler. I mean, he still has to deal with this Insectile Aberration.
That's what the Tarfires are for.
But he does send Shawn Tabrizi, kind of back to the Stone Age here.
Which makes it helpful for Shawn that he didn't cast the Ponder last turn. Just an extra card in his graveyard for when he'll have to rebuild towards his Angler.
So the matron fishing for an answer.
Shawn just has, is he have 4 lands now?
Yeah, it looks like he's got a dual, a Wasteland, and another. He's going to cast Ponder here. Land.
Looks like another Angler?
Yeah. It feels like a shuffle to me.
Well, so one thing about Ponder and Legacy is that you can use it with fetch lands. So if you wanted just one of those cards.
Yeah, I didn't think I saw fetch land in there. Oh, he might have.
He had one of his lands in hand as a
Okay.
fetch land. So if the last card he saw was something he wanted, so nothing. I want none of these. Yeah, so there's a volcanic island, a flooded strand. What is it?
Oh, there's Force of Will. Wow, that's surprising after sideboard. Again, you talked about the idea that between Cavern and Souls and Ether Vial, that can often be a dead card, plus the Instigators and the Lackeys. It can often be a dead card for the control decks.
Yeah, so the logic behind keeping in Force of Will is like, I've seen Pyrokinesis, I've seen Tarfires.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Sting Scourger is bouncing Insectile Aberration here.
Okay.
Wasteland takes down the port, and the Insectile Aberration comes back. What is Justin's plan for this Gurmag Angler?
So one of the things that Goblins is really good at doing is just putting a bunch of 1/1s on the battlefield.
So he may just be thinking, I can block this forever.
Yep. That is one plan against Gurmag Angler. If you get enough ringleaders.
All right, Insectile Aberration flips once again.
Operation Bounce Delver of Secrets seemed to have backfired. A Stifle, a Deathless Shaman, and a Young Pyromancer.
Wow.
These are all really nice options.
Yeah, especially if you're on the I'm going to make a bunch of 1/1s one plans for Justin Quo for Shawn to be able to just match him one for one.
Yes.
Is very compelling. All right.
Here comes Insectile Aberration and Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, what are we going to do here? I mean, Justin, he's just going to put the Goblin Matron in the way of the Angler. Okay. And now he just ticks up his Aether Vials. He must have nothing in hand.
Looks like he
could have a ringleader. Yeah, it looks like he's
over
accidentally
some
tipped a card.
Yeah.
It's like,
so he tipped over a card from his deck. He's like, hey, I drew this card in my hand, but I also knocked this card over.
And then I guess gave his opponent the opportunity. He's like, which one do I draw? And
yeah.
All right, here comes Aether Vial.
So, like, activation.
That's an activation. Which you
So-
could get stifled.
You could stifle that, but I'd rather stifle this. Whoa.
Oh, and that's what happens. He's going to stifle the ringleader.
Wow.
There's a third Aether Vial. Oh, Vial flooded.
Mm-hmm. All right, so he's still on Chump Block Gurmag Angler for life, but Ringleader is an essential part of this
Engine.
Like, if you don't get to get more goblins off of Ringleader, you don't get to Chump Block Gurmag Angler forever.
Yeah, this is like countering Ancestral Recall.
More or less.
If
Usually
Ancestral
can't-
Recall cost 4 and got to attack.
Right. And so Shawn's just like, okay, now that I know, now that the board game state is here, I'm going to shuffle away my other cards. So he shuffled away a Deathrite Shaman and a Young Pyromancer. Thinks he can do better.
Another another Delver of Secrets.
So in comes Gurmy and Insectile Aberration, a Chump Block.
Yeah, he's gonna trump it. I was wondering if maybe he had like
Taxium Probe.
Good. Get to see what that last card is.
Or not. I think Shawn might just hold it for Force of Will.
Oh, sure. Although, not something that Justin counterspells are not something he's.
Yeah, so, Justin in pretty dire straits here. He doesn't have goblins. His Goblin Duck doesn't have any goblins.
All right, passes the charm. He's obviously able to represent something. Again, Ringleader didn't go up to 5 on the Aether Vial, so, not a Kiki Jiki or...
I'm sure at some point he'll want to get him up to 4 and 5, but he may not live that long. Especially if Justin has no goblins. If he's going to 1,
wow.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough. Shawn draws a Cabal Therapy just to kind of see what's going on, but
he has your combo. He has Gitaxian Probe Cabal Therapy.
He does. I would just cast the Cabal Therapy blind here, just because it's very unlikely that you'll actually want to hit anything. I might. So Shawn's deciding just not to cast it.
Oh, he's gonna puts a Krenko into play at the end of the turn. Goes up to 5, 3, and 2.
Yeah, so this is important. So if definitely wants to put it to 5 if you draw Siege Gate Commander, that gives him an out. He needs a Tarfire Tarfire gets countered by Insectile Aberration. Is this Goblin Matron? It's Goblin Chieftain. That is not going to do it. And Goblin Lackey.
Everything has haste.
It's not enough.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Shawn's just making sure he does the math.
So he could make 2 more 2/2s with the Krenko.
3 more.
3 more, sorry, you're right, yeah.
And they each be 2/2, so that's 6 damage. And
8 damage.
He's representing 10 damage.
Yeah.
Shawn's just doing the math, making sure 10 is decidedly not 18. So, and none of this interacts with the Insectile Aberration, so as soon as Shawn does all the math, Justin will extend the hand. But yeah, it's just Shawn making sure he's got it. Yep, he figured it out. I'll make 3 goblins. I'll attack you for 10.
Trumpet Blast.
Justin has no cards in hand. So I think you'll have to cast Trumpet Blast from outside the game to make that work. But
all right, he just
there's the
goes through the
handshake.
motions, extends the hand, yeah. And Shawn Tabrizi goes to 9-1 with his 4-color Delver deck. And I'm wondering if we're going to have a chance to talk to him. That went a lot longer than most Goblin matches tend to go.
Yeah, Goblins kind of gets this misnomer as like a pure beatdown deck. It is definitely not. It grinds games out. It disrupts you. It has a lot of these really intricate decisions to make.
Welcome back to the booth, everybody.
Hi.
It gets to draw cards with the best of them in Legacy. And, I mean, really exciting to see Stifle on a Goblin Ringleader.
Stifle was savage in that game.
Usually seen on Wastelands and fetch lands and the like as a way of denying your opponent mana, but letting your opponent not draw those extra cards. I mean, crucial too with such an Aether Vial flooded hand there.
Right.
For Justin, it was really challenging for him to recover.
Yeah, and that's the core of the Goblin deck. I think without Ringleader, there just isn't enough. There aren't enough goblins.
All right, I think we have Shawn Tabrizi ready for us to talk to. Hey, Shawn, how you doing? This is Brian David Marshall here with someone you know from your local store, Adam Prozac.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
Hey.
How's it going, Shawn?
I'm doing well. A little bit flustered, but, feeling good.
All right, so we want to ask you about a play in Game 2.
Okay.
It looked like your opponent was going to cast something, then didn't, and then...
Yeah, the Chalice, right?
Yeah, the Chalice. Did you have the read on him that was a Chalice
so
avoid?
I'm thinking to myself, okay, he has a 1-drop or 2-drop. He was tapping that second mana over and over. And I'm trying to think to myself, what are the 2-drop goblins that I care about that you can only cast with 1 red, right? I really didn't think of any. And what I really cared about was a Chalice, right? Like, that was something that you could cast for 2 mana with colorless, that kind of stuff. So I thought it would be really important for the game. I didn't think of any goblins that were relevant at that mana cost, so... And also you had a Cavern of Souls too, right? So it couldn't have been like a cycling creature. It couldn't have been anything besides like a creature he could cast, right? Or an artifact in this case. So I named the Chalice, and it was a good hit.
Yeah, I think it was one of the most important plays in the game. Like, you didn't have a disposable creature to flash her back, and the Chalice would be really strong against you. You could daze one, but that was a really excellent heads-up play.
Yeah, thanks.
Another play that was really stood out to us was in Game 3 when you got to stifle a Ringleader against an Aether Vial flooded opponent. How bad would a Ringleader have been for you?
It would have been awful. I mean, the 2 choices I had was stifle the Aether Vial trigger, right? Because I don't know exactly what card he's going to put down. That allows me to get in with the Grimag Angler because I'm going to be able to attack, but it could be something crazy like the Goblin Ringleader. I decided rather to stifle the ability, right? So it makes all of his creatures like 1/1s and 2/2s and stop the actual ability, right? And I think that also paid off really well. I think without the stifle, and I think I pondered into it too. So I was looking for something like that. Without that, I think I would be way, way behind with so many Aether Vials in play. But that was enough to be able to get me the slow advantage to win the game.
All right. Well, Shawn Tabrizi, you're in great shape here after 2 rounds of day 2. Good luck to the rest of the way. And I'm sure Adam might have some more questions for you when you guys get back to your local store.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Good luck.
See ya.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was an excellent match.
Yeah, excellent, and it was really great to see. Because a lot of times we'll be in the booth and we'll wonder like, oh, did he get the read there? It was really nice to hear that he actually did have the read, and that's one of the reasons people will talk about make your decision, figure out what you're going to do, and then tap your mana because you give away so much information when you waffle.
Right.
As delicious as waffles are, they are no good at the Magic table.
Right.
Anyway, we have a couple brief messages, and then we will be back with more action from here at Grand Prix Seattle. Here with Adam Prozac. Rich is going off doing producer things, getting ready for the next wave of Grand Prix Seattle coverage as we move ahead. But we've got a little bit of time walk match to show you. I don't know how much we'll get into, but let's take a look at Robert Shilander playing Sneak and Show versus Tommy Ashton playing Ravager Prison. Both of these players are at 7-2. How does this matchup favor which way? I feel like the Sneak and Show deck might be able to take advantage of this Ravager Prison deck.
Yeah, so the Sneak and Show deck, pretty straightforward. Sneak attack, show and tell, put a giant creature, usually, in this case, this is no sneaking. This is only
just
showing.
Straight up show and tell.
So this is an Omniscience deck.
Oh, nice.
So you want to show and tell Omniscience onto the battlefield, and then you change some card draw spells either through like Cunning Wish, Intuition, Ponder, Preordain, all that stuff, and then you'll eventually find an Emrakul, which you can cast, take an extra turn.
All right, here's Chalice of the Void on 1 off of City of Traders.
But Tommy Ashton's deck is quite different. It is both a Affinity-esque deck. It has Arcbound Ravager, Foundry Inspector, Steel Overseer.
Here we see a Steel Overseer off of the City of Traders. He also plays a Lotus Petal.
Vault Scourge, Walking Ballista. But then it has all these prison elements, Chalice of the Void, Lodestone Golem, Thorn of Amethyst. So it's a really unique deck. It's, basically all colorless cards.
So there you see him play a Mishra's Factory. That means he has to sacrifice the City of Traders.
Yep.
Sacrifices his Lotus Petal, and then plays an Arcbound Ravager, which gets Force of Willed by Robert Shilander, who just has 2 lands and nothing going on here.
Mm-hmm. So Mox Opal for Tommy. Lots of, mana accelerant, so it has...
All right, there's that Vault Scourge you mentioned, and that's going to start to get bigger with the Steel Overseer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, the Mishra's Factory also has some artifactiness to it.
It can become an artifact creature. Caracas.
Oh, there's Caracas, the natural predator for these Sneak and Show decks.
Well, not Shilander's deck. It's very good against Sneak and Show.
Oh, okay.
But if you show and tell an Omniscience, Caracas is no longer
going to be good enough.
Effective.
Okay, there you see, though, Steel Overseer activates, distributes 4 counters across the table, and now a Thorn of Amethyst comes down, and that's going to make it even more difficult for the mana-deprived Robert Shilander to do anything. And here you see, get in for 6 with my Vault Scourges. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a prison deck, but it is
it's got a lot of beatdown elements.
Super aggro.
So 2 mana Preordains.
2 mana Preordain. By the way, it does get countered still. All right, and this could be the death knell here for Robert Shilander, unless he has something he can do.
It's just 11. So
yeah, and that's it.
But yeah, Robert's gonna be like, I can't do anything.
That was actually 12.
Yeah, it was 12.
All right. So Robert Shilander down a game here against Ravager Prison, and once again, Chalice of the Void on turn 1. Mm-hmm. And that's really, you see how many 1-mana blue spells these decks play.
Yeah.
You really can just strand a ton of cards in your opponent's hand.
Robert must have the combo in hand. So if he doesn't have a Force of Will, or what else would he?
It looks like he may have also mulliganed this game. Yeah.
Very heavily, actually.
So he also has City of Traders.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like is that an Intuition I see?
I believe so.
Okay.
So Intuition will help him find, I believe he has Intuition and Omniscience, so if he can, he's pretty close to putting Omniscience into play, matter of what he can actually do once he gets Omniscience.
All right, well, here is the Arcbound Ravager. All right. So, all right, Ashton gets in with his Mishra's Factory, gets to put counters on everything with the Steel Overseer, and here comes Intuition. Search your deck for 3 copies of Show and Tell in this case.
Very likely.
And your opponent is going to pick one of those cards, put it in your hand, and the other 2 go to your graveyard.
Yeah, Intuition's a really cool card that just kind of just ends up being a
Instant
tutor.
speed demonic tutor, yeah.
Yep. And sometimes it does some like really crazy stuff if like those cards, you know, are useful from the graveyard. But in this case, it's just instant speed demonic tutor.
Oh yeah, back in the flashback days.
Yeah, if you get 3 War of the Worms or you get 3 what accumulated knowledges.
All right, so Tommy's in a great spot here, but that show and tell could be bad. There it is, show and tell. Both players get to put something
So
into play.
Omniscience
There's
is on the
Omniscience.
battlefield.
All right, and I'm going to cast Emrakul the Aeon's Torn for free.
0 mana.
I'm going to take another turn after this one. I'm going to attack you. I'm going to annihilate. And
Just 6 of your permanents.
Just 6, yeah. You can keep one of them if you would like.
Yeah, so this is kind of the thing. Tommy does have the Crocus available to bounce it. If you bounce it, you just play it for free again. So, I think, yeah, Tommy might be able to survive the Annihilator trigger.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, we're not going to have time for Game 3. As you can see, the next round, round 11, is seated and getting ready. We're going to go over to Marshall and Reed. They're going to come in for the next round and bring you round 11. I can tell you that Tommy Ashton did win that match in Game 3, even though he got annihilated in Game 2. Don't go anywhere. We got a couple brief commercial messages, and then round 11 will be right up here from Grand Prix Seattle.